Hi everyone, I'm Clayton, and today I have a shell here that could be absolutely gorgeous or turn into a total disaster.
Hi everyone, this is Clayton from the Sand and Shore Shop, and I take things like this and turn it into stuff like this. Come and watch me make shiny stuff.
Like I said, I've got a shell here. This shell's from the Outer Banks, and this is one of those shells that I really have to think about. Um, you can see it's got a nice leaf shape to it, and no, I'm getting ahead of myself. My problem is I either take and cut down the face of this shell to make it a smooth shell and get rid of all this texturing and make it a nice shiny, super smooth, shiny, reflective shell, or I leave all this texture on here and go with the colors that are here now. Because if I grind it, there's a chance, and probably a fairly good chance, that I'm going to lose all this color that's there. As you can see, if you look on the edge of the shell, like this edge here, the sea has pretty much made that nice and smooth for me. As you can see, these ridges and the color that's up there doesn't seem to penetrate very far down into this shell. Here's another shell that's kind of similar, but as you can see, hopefully you can see, the color is the whole way through. You have a white streak there, you have these grays and whites and pale blues, and there's also some color on the top. You got these browns here, and if I'd have kept cutting on this one, I'd have probably lost some of these browns, so you have to only cut so far. So what's happening, I could do this. Here's a shell that is similar to this shell in that it has a lot of ridges and texture on it. You might be able to hear. This shell I polished. I trimmed the outside edges a little bit, and I just polished up the shell with the ridges in it. And as you can see, there's a lot of color there. Now if I would have cut that shell down, cut these ridges out of here, you can see on the edge that the color sort of goes deeper, but it doesn't. It would have maybe turned out very much like the back of this shell, or this shell here. You can see there's like faded whites. This is one that broke on me. It was way too fragile. But when I was taking it off the dop stick, it snapped. And I'd rather have it snap taking it off the dop stick than snap whenever it gets to the customer, and that just stinks. So I'd rather it break here. But the point is, if I cut this shell down too far, I may just end up with bland color instead of all of these pretty colors that are still there. Now that, as it sets, it's dry. It may not look very colorful. I'm going to make it wet. Okay. Alrighty, the shell's wet now, and you can see there's a major difference in the color. These browns came out more. The browns that are down inside these grooves, and it has a little bit of a sheen to it now, so you get an idea what it might look like if I just polish it. But if I cut all the face of it off, cut it down smooth, it may look even better, similar to this shell. This one had heavy ridges, but as you can see on the side, hopefully it'll focus, the color is much deeper and goes the whole way through instead of being more surface-like on this one. If anybody thinks all that I do is pick a shell up off the seashore and then polish the face of it, that's not how this goes. You have ones like this where there's a lot of thought goes into what you're going to do with this shell. Apart from the deciding on whether I'm going to cut the face of it, I also have to decide on what the shape is. So I got a pad here. This is another conundrum that I have. Let me just draw a quick approximation of this shell. We'll make two. We have two approximations here of what this shell looks like. Now I have a couple of ways I could go with this. I don't want to touch this side because it's natural. It's natural, it's smooth. It would be polished a little bit more and it would look gorgeous. Most of this side is also taken care of by the ocean, thankfully. I say thank you, Madam Ocean, for taking care of this. So what I can do is either just go sort of with the shape that I got here. The colored part is going to be across here, and this will be eliminated. So I could shape this similar to that, and then sort of follow the contour of these, and end up with a shell that looks like that. Or, like on this side, I'll take that top off, or I could cut this down from the top more and shape it into a more symmetrical piece. So that would be like from here down, but I'll be losing about this much color, and I'll be thinning it down also, thinning down this the width. And I don't know if I want to do that. So I've got to decide whether I want to go with this more organic looking shape or a more machined shape. That is, after I decide whether I'm going to cut the whole face of this off, smooth it down, and risk losing all these nice earth tones. So that is my problem with this shell. Alrighty, I decided I have nothing to lose by going and polishing the shell up on the polishing wheel. So I went and did that, and I think that looks pretty nice. It needs to be cleaned off a little bit because some of the polishing compound is sort of whiting it out a little bit. But I think that is nice. And what's really kind of cool is these rough edges. They are really smooth now. The point's smoothed off. That I don't even know if I'm going to try to take that off. This edge is extremely smooth. Extremely smooth. And this edge is even smoother than it was before. But hopefully you can see how, oh, hit the camera. Hopefully you can see how shiny that is. And the colors come out enough that, you know what? I think this is a win. So all I'm going to do is take off this uncolorful bit here, and then take some of this edge off of this side. This side isn't too bad. A little bit here, and take some of this off, and then that shell, I will call that shell done. Well, I feel much better about this stone now. This is a shell. I feel much better about this shell now. I went over and I cut that top part off on the wheel, and I trimmed that back end down, and then I went back over to the polishing wheel and polished the back of it up, and you can see, hopefully you can see, there's some of the color that would have come out if I would have cut the face of it down, and it is nothing like the color that we have on this side. So I absolutely believe this is a win by keeping the shell this way. It's just has so much character. It has really beautiful earth tones. It's got a brilliant polish to it. I mean, that backside, these color lines running through there, they're gorgeous. just as they are. They might have been a little bit brighter if they'd have been polished in a different manner, but still they're not anything close to what this side comes out. So this is definitely a win. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll be back with more shells and stones to cut. Thanks for sharing some time with me.